You ever look at a car from the 1950s and think, wow, they really don't make M like that anymore? Well, you're not wrong. Back then, cars weren't just machines, they were part of the family. Big, shiny, full of personality, and loaded with features that would have today's young drivers scratching their heads. Things that felt totally normal at the time now seem almost unbelievable. So today, let us hop in the time machine and take a look at 10 car features from the 1950s that would blow young drivers' minds. 1. Push-button gears. Yep, you didn't always need a gear stick. It felt high-tech back then, kind of like flying a spaceship. In some 1950s cars, like the Plymouth Fury, you just pressed a button on the dash drive, reversed, whatever you needed. Of course, the idea didn't last. People got nervous about hitting the wrong button, and by the 60s, it quietly disappeared. 2. Giant steering wheels. Ever seen an old steering wheel and thought it looked like it came off a bus? That's because they were huge. Back then, power steering wasn't common yet, so you needed that big wheel to turn those heavy cars. It took real muscle to park a car, and nowadays, with all the fancy tech, drivers have no idea how much effort it used to take just to make a rear-facing seat in the back. If you rode in the station wagon back in the day, chances are you sat backwards. Those rear-facing third-row seats were like a private clubhouse. You'd wave at the cars behind you or make faces for miles. Sure, it probably wasn't the safest thing in the world, but man, it made road trips feel like an adventure. Once you got used to it, it was no big deal. 4. Headlight dimmers. On the chrome-made cars feel proud, bold, alive. Before fancy levers and switches, if you wanted to switch between low beams and high beams, there was a little metal button down by the clutch. Simple. Try explaining that to a teenager today, and they probably stare at you like you made it up. Bumpers, mirrors, dashboards, even door handles. If it could shine, it did. Can you imagine trying that today with potholes everywhere? 5. Chrome everywhere. The 1950s loved their chrome. The sun would hit your car just right, and it looked like a work of art cruising down the street. These days, it's all plastic and matte finishes. Sleek maybe, but not the same. If you pulled up to a diner with one of those on your ride, people noticed. Record players, believe it or not, Chrysler once let you play actual vinyl records while driving. It was called the Highway. You'd slide in a special 7-inch record under the dash and listen to your favorite songs on the go. Couples loved it. Flip open trays, built-in lighters, all polished and clean. So did families on long drives. It didn't work all that well. Too many skips and bumps, but for a moment in time, felt like the future. 7. Spare tires on the back. Some cars had the spare tire mounted outside the trunk, right on the bumper in a fancy case. It was called a Continental kit, and it made the car look longer, fancier, almost like a parade. They weren't very practical, but boy did they add some class. These weren't just decorations, they gave the cars soul. Sure, they weren't perfect, but there was something about them that made you feel proud just to turn the key. Front bench seats. Let us know in the comments. We love hearing your stories. Forget cup holders and armrests. In the 50s, the whole front seat was one big cushy bench. Until next time, keep those engines per. 3 people could sit across close and coat. Seatbelts, optional. It wasn't safe, but it sure was. 9 ashtrays for everyone. Cars back then came with ashtrays in every seat, even in the back. Smoking was part of everyday life, and cars were built hard to imagine now, especially with today's no-smoking laws. But in the 50s, it was just ornaments with style. Today's logos are just logos. But in the 1950s, hood ornaments were little works of art. Cadillac had winged ladies, Pontiac had glowing chiefs, and Packard had swans and jets. Eventually, they disappeared because of safety laws. But to this day, they're one of the most iconic things about classic American cars. Outro-friendly and warm. It's wild to think how much driving has changed in just a few generations. The cars from the 1950s were big, bold, and full of charm, and they had quirks that made every ride feel special. Which of these do you remember? Or maybe your parents or grandparents had a car like this. And if you enjoyed this little drive down memory lane, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and stick around for more nostalgia from the golden years. Thanks for watching American Rewind.